if I were to summarize what happened in that 5 days on Quadra, after thinking about it and processing it and talking to Mike, my friend who I traveled back with, I mean, it was unbelievable being on the road with him. He's a pretty incredible guy, as he is. He's actually a ferry boat captain, so he's a real traveler. It felt like we were back in the 60s. We were listening, of course, to 60s music on one of those classic 60s channels. But it was truly an altered state. I was hearing things in the music I'd never heard before. I hear a line from Van Morrison. I'd heard that line a million times before. But it's like, oh my God, I get it. Right. It's like, I get it in a way that I just have never heard it before. The words and the music, And it's such a cliche line. And I feel like it's ancient wisdom. I just feel like it's penetrating me right to the core.
Can you think, what was the song?
I can't remember, but it was not just one song.
Right.
Every song that came on, I would hear new music. I would hear the words as if it were for the first time. That's what I mean.
Right.
That's what I mean. It was a song that I've probably heard literally 10,000 times before. So it was like, and then I began to realize what had happened on Quadra, I think, was that here we are. We met at a crossroads in '72. We were all searchers. That was the traveling, right? We were all searching for new ways. We were trying to figure out what it meant to have an adult life and how we wanted to spend our lives. And, some people, a couple of guys bought a boat and lived on the boat. Some people, we were living in different ways. We were looking at different ways of making a living and all of those things. And now here we are again. 40 years later, 42 years later, same guys. It was a group of guys. This was a group of guys. And here we are again. Now we're kind of back there again at a crossroads again. That career, that kind of, money and career and family stage is kind of over. I think turning 60 has woken us all up a little bit. And now here we are back again, reflecting back on those times and what did we learn. And I think more importantly, what were the questions that we were asking back then and how have we addressed them, right? Where were we then and where are we now? And so I think traveling is something that you do physically. Tourism is very much, you have to go there and you see things.
Right.
Traveling is something that that you travel on so many different levels. Yeah. And traveling is about an openness to experience and to new ideas and a readiness to change. And I think for many ways, a form of healing. I mean, I think of it as healing. I think of it as an approach to healing. I mean, Mike turned to me after we'd been on the road without a word said, but there was so much communication without a word between us, right? He was singing, I was whistling, we were both humming, And he just turns to me and he says, "This is incredible. It's like music therapy." Oh. And it's like, yeah, it was just a healing experience, and it was so deep, and and I felt such a sense of being blessed. I mean, I think words sometimes get in the way here. Mm-hmm. I think one of the difficulties when we're talking about these things is that the words sometimes get in the way. But all I can say is it seemed like every song that came on the radio, it's like, I know in my head I've heard that song thousands of times, and yet I feel like I'm hearing it for the first time because I've never heard the words with my heart in the same way before. And it was some commercial song, like it was some song that most people would just consider right. like a throwaway pop song, right? And yet, and so it had only a little to do with the music and a lot to do with the state that we were in.